Hi, Dan here. X8 is basically a motor configuration that you can press on Betaflight to tell Betaflight that you are using 8 motors in total, and it's normally shaped with 2 motors up and down on each side of the quad, hence remaining the X while still having 8 motors. And the application of that is generally with 7 to 8 inch cine lifters which fly really fast with payloads with cinema cameras. There's 2 reasons what is in front of me has been birthed. One is that I just wanted to do a rehearsal before I actually built my cine lifter, and the second reason is that I recently transitioned most of my quads to 6S, hence all my 4S gear has been just thrown aside, and I wanted to find a useful application for it. I'm just gonna give you answers straight away. I see it as basically being useless. In context of what I've built in front of me, it is a Source 1 version 4 with a bunch of arms kind of stuck together with 3D printed parts in between. And essentially, when I fly it with a normal 1300 pack, it scores me a flight time of about just 2 minutes tops. The whole time I was flying the 1300 pack, my hover throttle was about a little bit above the middle. So for a general hovering, it needs to be somewhat up here. Alternatively, for the 2200 mAh pack that I was flying with 4S, my minimum throttle was about 75%, meaning that to get to a stable hover, my sticks needed to be 75% up, and I barely have any room to do any other maneuver rather than cruising. Essentially, this current tool that is here, it is just a shittier version of a 5-inch 4S quad. And the simplest explanation I can try to give is that a standard 4S 5-inch quadcopter is an optimal device. This thing comes up to about 650 grams and is just optimized for a good freestyle session. And when you add 4 motors to it, the power to weight ratio does not balance out and makes the quad just perform worse. In conclusion, this in front of me is a useless device. The only upside I see to this quad is it's a little cute because it wiggles, and that's because of the 3D printed legs. And what is the solution for this? If you're looking to build an X8 5-inch, the optimal way to go is to just change it to 6S. Change the electronics to something that supports 6S. Change the motors to 6S configuration. Plug in a 6S LiPo and you'll probably get a better results. But what purpose do you have for that X8 is maybe to carry a heavier payload, but I leave that up to you. And the rest of this video, I'm just gonna run through the steps I took to convert this Source 1 version 4 freestyle frame into an X8 configuration. So these are 3D models that are intended to be used to cut carbon fiber for custom arms for the Source 1 version 4. I don't have a CNC mill, I have a 3D printer. So what I did was I took his files and I basically converted into STLs. I loaded it onto Mesh Mixer and basically I filled it up. I made 3mm holes to screw in my motors. And my remix of his design is just intended to be spacers between the arms. So I would actually print one mirror down and print one mirror up. The height of these 3D print arm spacers are enough to just keep the button hits sunk and not grinding against each other. And I'll also upload my version of the arm spacers for the Source 1 version 4 if you want to try it out for whatever reason. So I had a bunch of 35 amp individual ESCs that I just left the PDB over there. I also have another 4-in-1 ESC 20x20 stack that sits at the back. That one is also 35 amps. And yeah, to keep in tradition with this build being full of used parts, I took my old Maytag F722 SE, which supports 8 motor outputs, but that's a special flash you need to select in Betaflight. And then for the motor configuration, basically motors 1, 2, 3, 4 is spinning as how a normal quad would do. And as for the bottom motors, it is basically spinning in the opposite direction of the prop above of it. meaning that if this is spinning this way, this bottom one is spinning this way instead, like so. And that's just the bullet points on how I built this Source 1 version 4 X8 4S. I have no justification for its existence, but it was fun to build and I had a good time. Anyway, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching.